Week 41, Day 1, Morning Nourishment. Genesis 2:9. And out of the ground Jehovah God caused to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, as well as the tree of life in the middle of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Colossians 3:4. When Christ our life is manifested, then you also will be manifested with him in glory. The Old Testament speaks of creation, and the New Testament speaks of redemption. Both in creation and redemption, God's purpose and center is life. Although God created many things of such diversity and variety, His purpose and final goal are simply life. If we read the first 2 chapters of Genesis and meditate quietly before God on His creation, we will see that God's creation involves life and produces life. Life is the center and goal of God's creation. In the beginning, God created all things out of nothing. Today's reading. In the orderly process of His creation, God first created inanimate objects. Then He created organic things. Furthermore, the creation of living beings started at the lowest level of life and advanced step by step to higher levels of life. Ultimately, the highest level of life created by God was man. Man is the highest life in God's creation, because the Bible says that God created man in His own image and according to His own likeness. Furthermore, God also gave man the authority to have dominion over all things. Thus, among all created things, man is like God because he has God's image. He also represents God because he has God's authority. God saw everything that He had made, and it was very good. In this vast universe, among all the myriads of created things, God obtained a man with His image and authority, who could express His glory and represent His authority. This satisfied God. God rested on the 7th day after He finished His work of creation. Many people think that God was at rest and satisfied because everything was finished at this point. However, even at this point, God had not reached the purpose of His creation. If we continue reading, we will see that there were still many considerations. After God created man, He put him in the Garden of Eden. In the center of the garden was the tree of life. The tree of life is very special. The first time life is spoken of in the Bible is in relation to the tree of life. This shows that God was still not satisfied because He had not reached His goal, even though He had created everything and even though man had been prepared to express and represent God. What is God's goal? God's goal is life. God brought the man that He created to the tree of life and put him in front of life. He guided and directed man to the tree of life, hoping that man would contact the tree so that life could be imparted into him. God did these things in order to show that life is the goal and purpose of His creation. If man does not come to life and life does not come into man, God's creation of man would have no meaning, purpose, or result. The entire Bible shows the goal of life. As Christians, we have Christ as our life. He is in us to save us and be our life. This life is Christ Himself, who is God Himself. This life will lead us into eternity, which means that even in eternity, everything will be related to life. Revelation shows that in eternity we will contact the river of water of life and the tree of life. The river of water of life proceeds out of the throne of God and of the Lamb, And on this side and on that side of the river is the tree of life. In eternity, we will contact and see life. All the believers are connected to God in life. Thus, the believers and God are one in His life. In other words, just as life is in God, life is also in us.